Many of you may have watched the 2013 comedy movie, The Internship, starring Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. The story describes two middle-aged, out-of-work watch salesmen struggling to find their way in a digital world. They land an internship gig at Google where they have to compete with younger, tech-savvy individuals for a place in the organization. It's somewhat of a romanticized view of workplace culture, partly filmed at the Googleplex and depicting employees playing volleyball, Quidditch, riding bikes, and eating fantabulous food at the cafeteria. Their offices are set up with nap pods, giant slides, and all sorts of innovative gadgets that are meant to make work more fun and that are meant to make work more productive. In this video, we're going to talk about what gave rise to the ping pong foosball epidemic, particularly in startups, why it's not a solution to a culture that's not working, and 4 tips for leaders to start building a better culture today. My name is Eddie Boertis and I'm the founder of Leadership. I work with leaders and teams to build an organizational culture where people thrive. Silicon Valley, Apple, and Google have always been idolized as the ultimate place to work. People all over the world start thinking to themselves, well, if I can't work at Google, where can I find something close to that? Many new startups and some older organizations trying to avoid the soul-destroying images of rows and rows of identical cubicles signaling the death of creative freedom started to look at ways to become more attractive to potential talent. Stories of how different millennials were and their expectations of what they were looking for at work prompted many to redesign their workplaces, looking to the outside to fix what was broken on the inside. The new in-house coffee bar with the exposed brick design, ping pong tables, pinball, foosball, and other fun stuff started to make their way into office blocks in an attempt to attract the millennials. How many talks have you gone to describing how millennials are different and how you should lead them? Managers then started to automatically assume that their youngest employees would prefer to communicate via Slack as opposed to live meetings without asking them first. Millennials now make up the largest demographic in the workplace now. But we've moved on. We don't talk about them anymore. We're now distracted by Gen Z or Gen Z, the hot new generation of our time. We now have terminology to paint a broad brush and to stereotype them as the woke generation. I know I'm sounding pretty cynical. Don't get me wrong. Research is very clear that your outer environment and design can actually improve your culture. That design, though, must feel authentic and must be true to your particular company. It's got to reflect that particular personality and what your company is trying to achieve. The best work environment can be found in organizations that are willing to actually listen to their employees and to adapt to their needs and wants. Too often, companies rely on shortcuts that claim to tell them what workers really want and how they can easily deliver it. In that process, most companies totally miss the point. People believe that there are dramatic differences between workers from different generations, but the research is not consistent with these beliefs. A recent study by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine shows the fallacy of generational differences, and that if we focus on these differences as leaders, it can lead to prejudice, bias, and stereotyping in the workplace. I'll leave a link in the report below if you're interested to check it out, and I may make a separate video talking about this on its own. Now, Nancy Tippin, who led the study, says the following: to make the assumption that we're homogeneous simply because we were born between certain years is really a false premise. The irony is that many of the perks that were designed to attract millennials were made obsolete by the pandemic and the subsequent work from anywhere revolution. So if the differences between generations have been overinflated, and we're actually not that different as humans, if ping pong tables and other external gimmicks don't make your culture, then what really matters? Here are 4 quick tips for leaders. In the light of the pandemic and the resultant challenges organizations are now facing, and with hybrid work seeming to be the new normal, the most important thing that we can get right as leaders is to try and create a situation where employees have the highest possible access to both autonomy and flexibility. This is the single greatest motivating factor for human beings. The ability to decide wherever I want to work, whenever I want to work, while also having full access to my organization's office space when I need it. Choice is the biggest part of this equation. Most organizations will have various levels of this dichotomy, ranging from a total mandate to be at the office full-time, a la Elon Musk, and a mix between work from home and office work with variations on how many days are at the office or where you can or cannot work from and how much choice you have in determining which specific days they are. Many people right now are willing to leave their current jobs for total autonomy and for flexibility. This is proven by the fact that 38 million people resigned from their jobs last year, and 4 million people resigned in February of this year alone. The best organizations understand this and are providing autonomy by focusing more on principles, giving people guidelines as opposed to enforcing policies. Now, the second focus area for leaders is to invest in the upskilling and the competency levels of their people so that they are empowered and enabled to thrive in this new hybrid or autonomous, flexible work environment. Work on building greater connectedness and relatedness. Make sure that people still feel a deep sense of belonging. I have 2 videos on why this is so important and to what kind of skills leaders need to do to develop this. Now, the last focus area is to constantly connect the meaning of the work that people are doing. Make sure that your people have a clear line of sight to their roles and how they fit into the organization and how that connects to the mission of the organization. That's all that I have for today, folks. As usual, if you found the content useful, please hit the subscribe button and share the video with your network. Until next time, have a fantastic week. Cheers.